It's the Guildford GP today, everyone, and we have Julien Falchero on pole position for this race. That's right, first race of the season, and we have a pole position. Joey Mawson somewhere near the back. Who cares about him? Hey guys, welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of my Race to the Top Motorsport Manager series, and we are here in a bit of a rain-soaked Guildford, where we are about to run our first race of our career. We have Julien Falchero in pole position, would you believe, and we've got Joey Mawson sitting in 9th position. The only thing that we can do to give them a bit of a bonus is the race trim, which is going to be pretty crucial, I think, today. But as we look here, you can see that rain's dissipating quite quickly. So do we start on the inters? I think we do, and I think we go gung-ho on those inters because it looks like that track is going to start drying up quite quickly. By the looks at sort of lap 7 or 8, we could really be on a dry track. So I think we try and burn through those intermediates as quickly as possible. Let's get way ahead, particularly for Falchero. Then we pit for mediums or softs, depending on how the weather looks like it's going, and then we play it by ear. But that's my sort of strategy. We're going to start on the intermediates, just because, as you can see, the rain is picking up, and hopefully we can then get a big enough lead for Falchero, and hopefully Mawson can pick up a few places as well, and then we can pit for, I think, mediums. Let's try and go as long as we can, and then we can pit again for softs right at the end. But let's get stuck into it then. So Falchero on pole with Newey next to him for Van Amersfoort. Then we've got Ticktum and Mardenbrecht in 3rd and 4th. Gunther and Schumacher 5th and 6th. In the 4th row, we've got Alex Palau and Ryan Tveta. They're starting on the mediums, the intermediates as well. We've got Joey Mawson in 5th, just ahead of Pedro Piquet in 10th. Then we've got Marino Sato in 11th with Raul Hyman next to him. Ukyo Sasahara in 13th with Makino in 14th. They're starting on intermediates. It looks like a grid of intermediates today with Lando Norris in 15th, Joel Eriksson in 16th. Expect to see Lando moving up that field throughout the race. Mikkel Jensen in 17th with Ralph Aaron next to him. Then Daravala in 19th and Alexander Sims propping up the grid in 20th for Artline Engineering. So let's get stuck into this race then. And fingers crossed for a good result, as we're going to go straight on to Falchero, and let's see how he goes. He starts off well. He starts off fantastically well. Mawson, though, what's he doing? He's a bit stuck behind us. Falchero's got a huge lead out in front already, and he's trying to move, but it looks like he's going to be pipped at the post. He's got Piquet right next to him, and Piquet zooms right past him. He gains a couple of places. That's a fantastic couple of first corners for Piquet, as Mawson languishing in 10th place. Everyone's tiptoeing around those first few corners. No one is wanting to do anything to ruin their race so early on. But we'll quickly zoom up now and have a look at Falchero, who's leading this Grand Prix, and he's already built a 1.5 second lead. How is he doing this so well? What a fantastic result to start this race. So we'll keep an eye on the weather, as it looks like the sun's going to be coming out by lap 15. It's going to get heavier, this rain. But Falchero is holding up well up the front there. He's built a 2.2 second lead over Newey. I told you to keep an eye on Norris, as Norris has moved up to 11th now. Mawson's also picking up. Mawson's moved up to 7th as he's holding his own. He's stuck behind Hyman at the moment, as he looks like he's going to be trying to push through. We're going to keep pushing them. We're going to keep pushing. We don't want to burn too much fuel, because obviously we're already a second behind. So in fact, I might even do that with Falchero. I might just start getting him to conserve his fuel a little bit, because he's got a 3.3 second lead over second place Newey. So that's a big lead that, you know, could all come unstuck when it starts to dry up, because we only need a safety car, and we don't want to push too hard in this wet, remember. So I'm going to start bumping Mawson down as well. Let's leave them, actually. What I'll do is I'll put the driving style back up to push for tyre wear, because it looks like this rain's going to start going quite soon, and I don't want to have to pit before the rain's gone, but at the same time I don't want to have to waste the intermediate tyres. So if we can push on these tyres, that'll be huge. But we are 3 abreast with Mawson. Who's that? Who is in front of us? We've got Eriksson, Piquet and Mawson. We're 3 abreast going across the start-finish line. But we've slipped back to 9th now, where we want to build a bit of a gap from these other cars as Mawson starts to have a bit of a go at Eriksson. Joel Eriksson holding on, and we just get in front of him, but it all comes back to this final corner, which is a really big overtaking spot, and we lose out as Eriksson came back on the inside. Whereas Falchero has broken out a 5-second lead now, and Mawson's still stuck in this pack, which shows how well Falchero's going. So, where do we go from now? Let's keep an eye on that weather. What's the happening to the weather? Looks like that rain's going to stop soon, and then we'll start to see the water on track start to dissipate, and then we'll have to start looking at what we do with pitting. But we're keeping an eye on the fuel, so we're about a lap in deficit on fuel at the moment. As Mawson's starting to get upset because he's stuck behind Joel Eriksson in 9th place, and I'm not too surprised as he just cannot get through. But and that's a good move. That's a good move by Joey Mawson, Joel Eriksson, there you go, I got that right. Joey Mawson made a move but couldn't make it stick, and Eriksson holds on once again. But look how close Mawson is now. If he can get a good exit out of this final corner, but he took it too wide, which Joel Eriksson didn't do. And we still sit in 9th place. We've got Tveta right behind us, then Sato just behind him, Sasahara in 12th, and we are really dropping now. We've dropped out, we've fallen to 11th. Mawson just clinging on to 10th, which is the final point scoring position. We've got the inside line, but we took it too slow and we've slipped to 11th. This is not the race for Mawson. This is a really poor start to the race. But as we keep an eye on Falchero up the front, he's all on his own. 6.2 second lead. He is absolutely flying at the moment. Keep an eye on the tyre temperatures. They're both burning them quite hot, but we're going to have to start looking at changing to soft or medium tyres soon, and that's going to be critical as Falchero all on his own lead. But we'll come back to him later as we'll keep an eye on Mawson, who's again, he's trying to fight, he's fighting, he's got in front of Tveta, and he's moved up to 9th place now, and Sato and Norris behind him are changing places. But we're starting to get a bit of a gap now. As you can see, Eriksson's built nearly a second lead over him, and I'm quite happy with that at the moment. And it looks like, who's that? Tveta has dropped right off. He's dropped right back. But keep an eye now, Falchero is burning through his tyres really quickly. He's going to have to pit soon. And I'm keeping an eye on that water on the track. He's got a 7-second lead over Newey. And Mawson getting so frustrated. Do we bring Mawson in first? That could be a good idea if we bring him in first. But I think Falchero deserves to go first, because if Falchero pits, it means it'll put him out ahead of Mawson, maybe? I don't quite know how long the pit stop is, really, so that'll be interesting, because we don't want Mawson holding up our teammate, who's still building on that lead, 7.6 seconds, that's huge. As we're starting to close the gap on Eriksson in 8th, PK in 7th as well. They're starting to bunch up. It's a bit of a trolley train going on here. As Mawson makes a move on the outside, can he make it stick? He does. He moves up to 8th, overtaking Joel Eriksson. But we've seen before, Joel Eriksson can easily come back in this race. So, the water on the track is dissipating. We've got to start looking at pitting now. Falchero on 39%. He's going to have to start looking at pitting. And what about that rain? That rain is coming back. The rain is coming back. So do we pit once more? I think we're going to have to start backing up a bit here. We are going to have to start backing up because, as you can see, we've got rain coming back and we're going to have to pit again. He wants to pit for slicks. I think we're going to have to, and for very good reason. We're going to go onto the softs and we are going to go fast, obviously. So he's estimated to come out in 3rd position, which is a really good thing for him. And if we can get him on softs, he can really do some damage. So we're going to put him into attack and overtake mode. Actually, we'll leave the engine mode for now because he's built such a big lead. He's got 22.8 seconds. What has happened there? Joey Mawson, so a few people everyone's pitted for softs. Now Mawson, I'm going to do the same thing with Mawson. I'm going to put him onto softs too. Shows what I've been doing because I wasn't even paying attention there. Everyone's pitted in for softs. I'm going to bring Mawson in. So, both pit stops were very, very good. That's excellent. Falchero comes out onto softs too, and we are going to push on the tyre wear. And I'm not too concerned about burning through these tyres because it's going to start picking up in rain again. So we'll have to go back to push a little bit. We don't want to do too much. Falchero's still got a 9-second lead out in front. And we've got Joey Mawson coming around in 7th place now. He's got a bit of clean air. We've got Piquet behind him. So someone lost out there. Was it Hyman? Because we're still ahead of Ericsson. Tavetta's there. Norris. I think Hyman missed out. He must have had a bad pit stop. As we keep an eye on Falchero, who's got a 10.5 second lead. Oh, it's nerving. It's nervy. But we're keeping an eye on that rain. That rain's going to come back. As we're going to back up a little bit on our tyres. We don't want Falchero to burn through his tyres too quickly. Otherwise we'll be pitting before that rain comes down, because we want to go back to those intermediates, and hopefully that rain soaked track will help us out again, because everyone's going to have to, basically everyone will have to pit for intermediates, so it should be more or less, hold positions. As you can see in the mini-map up there, look how far ahead. There's Falchero there, he's going across the line, and Newey in 2nd place is only just going around that final corner. As Mawson's closing in on PK, but can he do anything? It doesn't look like he can, does he? I'll zoom in a little bit so you can watch this racing, watch this battle in a bit more detail. As we'll keep an eye on things. As looking at the tyre temperatures, there you go, Falchero. His tyre temperatures have dropped a little bit. I'm keeping an eye on the fuel. The fuel's still coming down very, very slowly as Mawson makes a dive on the outside, and he gets him, and he moves up to 6th place. That's a fantastic overtaking manoeuvre there by Mawson. He moves up to 6th, so after that poor start, he's now starting to climb a little bit, and he deserves to be further up the field than he started, because he started down in 10th, or was it 9th? I can't even remember. So what can we do now? So Falchero is still moving ahead. Mawson is starting to build a bit of a gap over PK. He's got 1.1 seconds over him. He's 3.2 seconds down the road from Mick Schumacher. So 6th place looks pretty solid for him. Falchero slowly building that gap back up as the rain's going to start coming back down now. So this is where we have to start looking at intermediates once more. So we could do a real big gamble here. We've got to keep an eye on Falchero because we don't want him to be doing a whole lap. Here you go. Here's the rain coming down now. So I think we leave it for another lap. Let's go back to Falchero. Is it Falchero or Falchero? I'm going to say both. I'm just going to say. So if I say Falchero, I mean Falchero. If I say Falchero, I mean Falchero. But he's way out in front. 12.1 seconds. The rain's coming down a little bit now. Keep an eye on the other teams because they're going to start looking at pitting too. I think we go round one more time, don't you? So let's go right up. Let's start pushing, attacking. We want to burn through these tyres. I perhaps could have done that an hour, a lap or two before, but I think there you go. So here we go. People are starting to pit, so we're going to do the same now. We're going to bring on our intermediate conditions. Keep an eye on our park conditions. They're fine. Let's hope for a really, really quick one. And we'll do the same for Mawson actually. It won't be a double stack, which is good. And we'll go fast for him too. So Falchero, he's going to be coming into the pits. We don't want any stuff up. We want a good, and that's it, perfect. Complete. All greens, no stuff ups. As we'll quickly go back to Mawson. He's going to be coming into the pits now too. We don't want any stuff up from him either. And there's a rear right. He's stuffed up on the rear right. That could really hurt us, unfortunately. He moves up to 6th though, because a few people didn't pit. But that is so disappointing. And we're going to have to bump them back down a little bit now. We're going to have to keep an eye on them. Falchero is still out in front. He's had a very, very easy race at the moment as PK moves ahead of Mawson whilst I was talking about Falchero. But he's in 7th place, which is where he was. So frustrating. That right rear tyre, there was a problem putting it on or taking it off, and that allowed PK to get in front. That's so disappointing. We've got to keep an eye on the tyre temperatures because we don't want graining too much. As you can see, Mawson's slipping back now. He's slipped back to 8th, and we are just over the halfway mark of this race now. 32 laps complete the 60-lap race. So, where do we go from here? Falchero is slowly being reeled in by Newey, but 11.6 seconds is still an age in Formula 3. So I'm not too concerned about him as long as he can keep going around. We actually haven't had a retirement or a safety car yet, so that is critical for us because this 11.4 seconds will all be for nothing. If there's a safety car that comes out, Falchero's lead will be gone. That's a real concern. But as you can see, our fuel is starting, and there you go. There, I spoke too soon. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. Hyman has crashed out. We are about to approach somewhere soon. There we go. We've just gone into the third sector now, and I can't actually see Hyman anywhere. So I don't know what happened, but there was no yellow flag. That's huge for us, and they've already cleared it up. So Hyman is out of this race. I don't know where he was when he crashed out, but it doesn't really help us in any way. But if anything, it benefits us, because Falchero that don't want the safety car. Falchero's lead, 12.2 seconds, is huge, and we don't want to lose out that huge advantage. Because if a safety car comes out, then boom, Newey's right back onto his tail again, and then it's a new race. As this rain's really going to come down, we're going to have to possibly even change for wet tyres soon. This is a terrible first race. This is a real baptism by fire. There's Mawson languishing now. He's starting to find a bit of gap there, because Ericsson's starting to pull away. But Tveda is right on his tail once more. This is just so tough to watch. We're going to bump Mawson up. We want him to hold on to that position. Falchero, though, 11.6 seconds, as Newey's starting to close that gap fractionally, because I have backed Falchero off on his driving style, because I don't want to burn through those tyres too quickly. So I'll go back into push mode, because look, we're doing very well on our tyres compared to everyone else around us, but this rain is coming down, and it looks like it's going to get heavier, which looks like it could well be a wet compound conditions towards the end of this race. For the final the final quarter of this race, we could be putting on wet compound tyres, which will be terrible, because that's when you've got to be careful. You don't want to push too hard, because that's when accidents happen, but at the same time you want to keep the throttle on, because you can gain a position or two, and another pit stop means another chance of stuffing up. Falchero, thankfully, he's got that 12.2 second cushion, so even if we make a mistake on the pit stop, Falchero should still come out in front, even if he loses a bit of his gap. So who's that? So people are starting to pit for the wet tyres now, so let's keep an eye on PK and see what he does on the wet tyres, because if PK starts setting blistering laps, then it's time for us to do the same thing. As Newey's coming into the pits, so I'm going to just copy him. I think that's the best thing to do. Newey was in second place, and I don't want Falchero to... I'm not going to do anything risky with Falchero. So we're going to really burn through these tyres. So if we keep an eye on PK, how's he doing for lap times? Oh, as I missed him. There he is there. And he's not doing great, is he? He's picking up a little bit, so we will drop on the wets for Mawson as well. And we'll keep him on fast. Let's see if Mawson can do anything. It's Falchero. I didn't see his pit stop, so let me know in the comments if it was a bad one. But it was no mistake, so it looks good. And the rear right again for Mawson. He just can't catch a break in the pit stop, and he drops down to 9th. Tveda ends up getting in. There's Norris there. I told you keep an eye on Norris. He's moved up to 8th. And that's a real shame. A real shame. It's just not been Mawson's day today, unfortunately, as we've got a bit of fuel to burn. So let's bump them up. I want Mawson to catch up to Tveda, because I really think he can do something here. But keeping an eye on the tyre temperature for Falchero. Let's go back to neutral for him. And it's really getting dark and dingy now, and Mawson's got people on his tailpipe. We've got Sasahara and Aaron right behind him, and they're going to make a move at some point if we don't get our skates on. And there you go, he's dropped out. He's dropped out of the points at the moment. This is not the race for Mawson. What do we do? I just can't see how we can get out of this. He's just had traffic around him the entire race. He's dropped back to 12th now. That's not good. That is not good at all. And with 14 laps to go, I think I might just bump him up a fraction. I'll change Falchero's style as well. Falchero's got this race, so if the race finishes now, we get 25 points, all from Falchero, as Mawson was going to do nothing. But we've got a couple of laps left, less on the wet tyres than everyone else around Mawson. So there you go. Mawson's making a bit of a move now. I'm going to keep an eye on that fuel, because I certainly don't want him to get stuck, with no fuel, and in the final lap we're just trotting around trying to save as much fuel as possible. But we need Mawson to get back into those points. So Falchero looks pretty safe at the front. We'll have a quick look over at Falchero. Look at that, all on his own lead. He's had a very, very easy race. In fact, he's about to catch up to Sims. I don't know how far up the road Sims is. Where's Sims? He's a minute and 8 seconds behind Falchero, and the lap times are... what are the lap times? Lap times are 1:17, so Falchero could well catch up to him with 11 laps to go. And he's doing very, very fine. Mawson, I'm going to have to drop him back a little bit. We're just not getting that. Give Falchero a bit more of a fuel boost, as Mawson's side by side with Aaron but can't do anything. And he's stuck. He's stuck in 12th place. This has been a really, really poor race from him. And I'm actually a bit disappointed in his performance today. Qualifying wasn't great. He qualified only 10th and then did nothing today. He's just been slipping backwards. He could climb up. He did have a couple of bad pit stops, remember. His right rear was the same. Both times it was his right rear. They failed to get it off or put it on. And yeah, that cost him, that bumped him back, because he's got the pace, but he just can't seem to do anything, can he? So we'll have to keep an eye on him. As Falchero, we can really start to ease him down now, and let's give him a bit more of an engine mode, and we're keeping an eye on his tyres with 8 laps to go. I don't want him to... actually, we'll leave it on neutral for now. Just keep an eye on the fuel for Mawson. With 12th place, I think that's where he's going to finish, to be honest. We've got Aaron and De Vetter in front. Look, Aaron's really caught up to De Vetter, so something could possibly happen there, but it's unlikely to. And we'll do the same for Falchero. We'll keep him on high, keep him burning through. Actually, no, we won't, because we want reliability. He's got this race. He's 11.5 seconds in the lead with 6 laps to go. So let's keep Mawson there. It looks like 12th place is his, to be honest. He's got a bit of a gap around him. Falchero, this is Falchero's race. I can't really be too upset, to be honest, because, let's be honest, Falchero has led from start to finish, and right from the first lap, he built this lead, and he's just held it, and he's been absolutely flawless. Again, all his pit stops have been really, really good, so that's... in the debrief, I'll be happy with Falchero. He performed very, very well. As Mawson's starting to suffer with engine problems, and there he is there. He's got big, big problems. That's a concern. What about Falchero? Falchero's got brake issues, but he's not too bad. So Mawson's just had an absolute shocking time. I feel so sorry for him in a way, because it's just not been his race at all. And 12th place, he should have done so much better though. He qualified quite poorly, and unfortunately, he's just been stuck in traffic. There was times where he could fight and possibly get in front of someone, and then just nothing happened. But there's a big gaggle of cars behind him too, because you've got Tictum, who's sort of leading a bit of a truly train, and they are starting to catch up by the looks of it. So I'm keeping an eye on him. As Newey's starting to close that gap to Falchero, but it's too little, too late really for him. And we could have a real problem on our hands here. We're going to have to drop our engine mode, I think, because I don't want to see him retire so close to the end. Not that he's in the points, but I think if he retired now, I'd just shoot myself. And we're on to the final lap then, so let's cut over to Falchero, because not much is going to happen. He has been waving through a couple of blue flags. That's Sims that's behind him in 18th place, so he's been blue flagged to allow Falchero pass, but it has been an absolutely dominating performance by this guy, the Frenchman, Julien Falchero. Picks up the race win. He's happy. He wants some champagne. I'm not surprised. He's French. As Mawson comes around now, he's in 12th place. He's still got a bit of work to do, but he'll be really disappointed with today's race, and I'm not too surprised as he comes across the line in 12th place. There he is there. Sigh, that sucked. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, buddy. It did suck. But we pick up a race win on our first race. I was not expecting that. I'm thrilled. I'm chuffed. I'm thrilled to bits. I don't even know what to say. Our first race with a win, and Falchero led from start to finish. If we go gap to leader, look at that. You'll see that Falchero led from start to finish and just never looked in trouble. And Mawson, he was constantly drifting away, which is really, really disappointing. If we go and have a look at Newey, there you go. You can see Newey was even drifting away a bit as well. He did close in a little bit, but not enough to make a big dent, and he started to drift away early on. And look at that, as we go towards the end. Yeah, look, he maintained that gap, really, as Mawson just fell further and further away. That's not good, unfortunately. He was keeping a decent pace in the middle of the race, but wasn't to be. Fastest pit stop was 2.5 seconds by Maximilian Gunther. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near that. There's ours there. We were middle. I'm not too disappointed with that. And Joey Mawson, unfortunately, right down the bottom there, as the tyre change cost them. And there's Alex Palau there. He also suffered as well. So that's a shame. Position tracker, as you can see then. So Julien Falchero, he led from start to finish by the looks of things. Joey Mawson, he languished in 12th. He did climb up as high as 5th at one point. In fact, as high as 3rd, but that was with the pit stops, so you can't sort of judge them too severely. A disappointing race. He started in 9th and ended up finishing 12th, whereas Falchero led from start to finish. And we have a quick look at the standings then. We do have Falchero leading the Drivers' Championship, Joey Mawson out of that in 12th, and the Team Championship. We actually dropped to 3rd. Prima Power Team won 25 points also, and Van Amersfoort Racing lead with 26. So we'll have a quick look at the scrutineering. We don't have any rules to break, so I've got absolutely nothing to worry about there. And there's the final completion of the race then. So 1 hour and 15 minutes, 29 seconds for Julien Falchero, who finished 10 seconds ahead of Harrison Newey, and Maximilian Gunther in 3rd place picks up 15 points. And the final point goes to Ryan Tveder. He performed very, very well, actually, and Joey Mawson down in 12th will be very, very disappointed. Alexander Sims, Alex Palau will be upset as well. He had a 12 place drop through this race, but he did suffer a bad pit stop as well, which obviously cost him. Daniel Tickton will be disappointed. He dropped 10 places, but the biggest gainer, unsurprisingly, was Joel Eriksson and Lando Norris. I told you to keep an eye on them because they didn't set a time on softs in qualifying, and look where they finished. They finished 7th and 8th. But and Joel Eriksson gets 2 bonus points as well for the fastest lap, so that's huge for Moto Park. So there's the confirmation of Julien Falchero, race winner ahead of Harrison Newey and Maximilian Gunther. A great start for Koiranen GP under my leadership, which is never a good thing to look to be bragging about. And there you go, hard-fought win for Falchero and Guildford. Happy days. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys and girls, and stay tuned because the next race, which is in Milan, will be in 2 days' time. We'll have the qualifying, and then the day after that will be the race. Pop a big thumbs up if you enjoyed today's video, and let me know in the comments if there's anything that you think I should do, and let me know on your feedback, on your thoughts. How do you think Mawson performed? Did I stuff up his race strategy? Who knows? Let me know in the comments, and until next time, take it easy.